Hello and welcome to Bridging the Divide. This is an informational webinar in which I will share a model second grade history social science lesson that is optimized for distance learning. This is part of a greater project that incorporates lessons for grades K-12, model lessons for grades K-12 in the area of history social science that is sponsored by the CLIC project. And the CLIC project, CLIC, it stands for Content, Literacy, Inquiry, and Citizenship, is our state framework implementation project. And as we enter year 3 of implementation across the state, and then also heading into distance learning, we realized that what teachers really needed were some model lessons. So we devised model lessons, just a few for each grade level, to give you an idea of what could be done to encourage and lean into inquiry-based instruction, grades K-12. So today I'm sharing, I'm going to walk you through one lesson. It's called We the People, and it focuses on citizenship, the Constitution, and the structure of our government, which is a second grade standard. So besides the content, and this lesson can be utilized as is, it's the format that we're hoping that you will be interested in terms of how to reach your students via distance learning. The nice thing about this format is that it blends very nicely into a hybrid model because each lesson has time for synchronous and asynchronous class time. So it can be utilized in either a hybrid model or in a full distance learning or both, as we are oftentimes in this time of history moving back and forth between the two. So I'm showcasing one lesson today so that you can see the format and structure and the types of activities. Please feel free to copy it, share it, utilize it as is, adjust it, or create other lessons and use this as an idea seed. So we hope that it's useful and something that can help you and validate what you've already been doing, but also help you with some new ideas. In the lessons, we utilized the 5E format. So this is a common format used in many lessons. It's actually started in science instruction, but we found that it works really beautifully with history, social science, and especially in a distance learning format. And it aligns with the format of using HyperDoc. So throughout the lesson, you will see links to primary sources, to video clips, to literature, to all the sources that you need. And in this example, you can see that there's a hyperlink to a graphic that shares the 5 E's so that you can build your own background knowledge as you look through these slides on your own. We hope that the model is easy to follow for teachers. It's really self-explanatory, and that there is ample background information on the 5E format. So here is a little bit of background information on the 5E format. These are the 5 E's, and we start with engage. And this is what we do in the classroom normally, right? We get our students ready to learn and tap and build their background knowledge. This is the time where we cultivate curiosity, get them ready to learn and excited to want to know more. In the explore phase of the 5E format, this is where the learning experiences actually happen, the input phase, where they're learning the content and exploring the analysis skills and working with one another to answer the compelling question. In the explain portion of the lesson, this is where students synthesize new knowledge. They might ask questions, they may seek clarification, and we hope that they do that. But it's the area in the lesson where their understanding is solidified and they can explain what they've learned, but boost their understanding. And so that knowledge is then solid. In the elaborate phase, this is where students can apply what they've learned, and they develop a deeper understanding, hopefully creating, investigating further, and really cementing that knowledge. And the evaluate, which is the last part, is where we provide suggestions for formative and summative assessments. Now, there are opportunities for assessment, formative assessment throughout all of the 5 E's. So the lesson format provides a note telling you where in the lesson you could use an example to see if what your students know, and you can gauge whether you will move on, reteach, or modify your instruction. So we as elementary teachers do that all of the time, and it is no different in a distance learning format. This particular graphic shows the importance of evaluation in all of the E's, the other E's, right? So along the way, we're constantly looking to see if our students have mastered or are learning what we want them to know before we go on to the next phase. My name is Rebecca Valbuena. I'm going to share a little bit about myself, as I have written the elementary lessons, and I'm actually still writing them. So there are a few in each grade level right now, and there will be continue additions made to those files in the coming days and in the next few weeks. So I am an elementary teacher. I have been teaching 30 years. My last 5 years of those 30, I left the classroom to become a teacher on special assignment, which means at my school district in Glendora in Southern California, where I work in professional development. I have been a CLIC team member for the last 3 years. This is year 3, and I represent Region 11, which is the Los Angeles County, Orange County area. And I am also currently the president-elect of the California Council of the Social Studies. I serve as a board member of the National Council for the Social Studies, and I am also a methods instructor, history methods instructor at Cal Poly Pomona. So I spend a lot of my time and energy in history, social science, and I'm very happy to share some ideas for distance learning with these model lessons. This model second grade lesson is called We the People. It addresses the challenges of distance learning and how to engage our students through synchronous and asynchronous time. Focus on different types of student engagement using simple tools that are also free access. So many of the tools and hyperlinks in the document send you to things in the Google Suite, which are free and easily accessible. One of my tips, as we've been on distance learning since last March, is keep it simple. We don't need to have a lot of fancy applications until we're ready for them. So keep it simple, use what you're comfortable using, what's effective with your students, and slowly add as you see fit. Otherwise, it's really overwhelming. There's so many different tools that we can use. We made sure our lessons are centered on relevancy and rigor, and that our students see the importance of what we're learning and it's connected to their lives. And we have also provided options for assessment and different styles of learning throughout each of the model lessons. Our lessons focus on a standard or standards and are utilizing the ideas in our state framework. There's integration with our English language arts standards and our English language development standards. And there's also areas of lessons when it's appropriate, not all of them, but when it's appropriate, the lessons show you when they're integrated with other areas of the social studies, economics, geography, civics, social justice, but also when it's appropriate for social emotional learning, technology, VAPA, STEM, math, science, LGBTQ plus history, etc. So when you see those parentheses, that's where we see a connection to integration elsewhere. So let me share a link to our lesson is right here, and we'll take a look at the second grade lesson. I'll give you a quick tour. Each lesson begins with our opening page, Bridging the Divide, California History Social Science Lessons Optimized for Distance Learning, with the grade level, title, and author. Moving in, you see the acknowledgements of the various people and organizations that have helped contribute to this project. Here in the blue section of the lesson is all of the teacher background information. So it's good to peruse so you know exactly where the lesson fits in your curriculum, and also the connections that are there. And you'll find the central compelling question, as well as the other guiding questions. So this lesson is called We the People. Here are our learning objectives. Our students will be able to recognize the Constitution and understand its purpose, and they'll be able to identify the three branches of national government as represented by President, Congress, and the Supreme Court. The compelling question for this lesson is, how does America's government work? And that is the overarching, open-ended question that students can answer at the end of all of the learning activities. Here you see our amount of time, and again, that is an estimate because it will depend on your structure and the amount of time you have for your synchronous class time. We have our connection to standards and frameworks, English language arts, and English language development. Our supporting questions are listed here. They are, what is the Constitution? And these are answerable questions that students will be able to address after individual components of the lesson, but answering the supporting questions in the end helps students answer the compelling question. So these are like stairs or stepping stones to the compelling question. So what is the Constitution? What are the roles of the three branches of government? What qualifies a person to be president? And what personal qualities make an effective leader? So those they will be able to answer after individual lesson activities that will help them answer that compelling question: how does America's government work? This lesson starts out with engagement in which you speak to the students and open a discussion about what are their virtual classroom rules right now that have been established and how were they made. You'll be able to connect that discussion quickly to the Constitution. And here's a link to share a picture, a primary source picture of the Constitution. You'll give a quick 2 to 3 minute intro on who wrote the Constitution and how long it took and what it was for. So a very quick input session. And then students will be able to listen to Schoolhouse Rock, which is the preamble to the Constitution. And hopefully that gets them excited and interested and wanting to learn more. Their asynchronous time in the engagement phase has them rewatch Schoolhouse Rock, because who doesn't love it? And you can challenge them to learn the lyrics and to sing along. And that, if you can look, you see it's a VAPA integration because it's music. And then it gives a suggestion for formative assessment, which in this case is observing their discussion and their responses. In the explore phase of this lesson, we ask you to work with your students in your synchronous time to create a class chart. And so this is the laws chart, and it forces you to make a copy so that you have your own copy and can type on it, and it will then belong to you in your Google Drive. But in this chart, you will share your screen with your students and brainstorm with them. Who makes the rules and laws? Who enforces the rules and laws? And how do you help? In home, in the school building, when you're in the school building, or if they can remember that, and also in the neighborhood. So just getting that connection to what the rules and laws are in their own lives. We'll connect that learning to understanding the structure of your school. So when they return to school, they know that their school has a leader, right? The principal. So where is the principal in the structure of government of a school? So you can share with them, the school board is elected by citizens who hires a superintendent, who hires the principal hires the teacher. And so there's this structure of government within a school district, and then connecting that to a structure of government for our country. At that point, there is an instructional piece and an infographic where you look at the branches of the US government in a graphic. So it's just a really simple one. You just click it and there it is, and you talk about it with your students, and then they have access to it. In their asynchronous time, they're going to click right here and listen to a story being read to them by a senator. It's a YouTube video, and they hear the story, House Mouse, Senate Mouse. And you challenge them to write down 3 new ideas that they learned. So when they're home on their own, in their asynchronous time, they listen to a story and write down 3 new ideas from the story. Using that information is going to provide your formative assessment. Moving on to the explain portion of the lesson, you'll be able to have your students in breakout rooms or as a whole class, whatever you're comfortable or able to use, but have students share their new learnings that they wrote down from House Mouse, Senate Mouse, and then lead a class discussion about the story. So we're getting in a lot of English language arts standards there by discussing the story, but also getting some history, social science concepts in there. There's a link here where you'll share the branches of government jobs with the students. It's an informational graphic as well. You'll read it together. And then as a way to engage students and have them respond using sign language. And if you click here, you'll see the alphabet in sign language, but having them show with their fingers an E, a J, or an L to predict which branch each job belongs to, the executive, the legislative, or the judicial, but they show it on screen with their finger symbols. In their asynchronous time, they get a chance to explore books, and there's a list here, and it also asks them to possibly utilize and draw a graphic organizer explaining the 3 branches of government, so that they can create their own piece of art and also be able to utilize their graphing or pictorial graphic skills. Again, an idea for formative assessment in terms of looking at their graphic organizers and listening to their explanations of the 3 branches of government. The elaborate phase of the lesson is the students are having an election where they elect a class president. It's very exciting for kids, and you will review the qualifications of what a person needs to be the president of the United States, and then maybe they create a list for what are the qualifications for being a president of the 2nd grade. So maybe they have to be a student, a member of the class for at least a month, at least 6 years old. So mirroring those qualifications of the president. And then they'll brainstorm a list of the qualities of a good leader. So hopefully this includes some SEL instruction, but they understand what it means to be a good leader. So we'll review the duties of the President of the United States, create that list for the class president, and then they have campaigns, right? So quick instructions for how to have students give a quick speech on their Zoom meeting, and also discuss the qualifications of a good leader as well as a good campaign speech. So lots of English language arts in here, and an opportunity to have a oral presentation to their class. In their asynchronous time of that part of the lesson, they can interview family members about voting and their experiences of voting, and they can prepare and practice their campaign speech with their family members. This particular part has another synchronous class time because it seemed to fit, but that's when you actually vote and listen to the speeches, and there's a link here for a class ballot, and it's a Google form so that you will have those already tabulated. And then at the end of that, you will listen to Hail to the Chief, which is a song, and you have a swearing in ceremony and the oath of the new class president. So it leads you through the process of a campaign, a simulated campaign with the kids, and you have your own structured leadership. At your asynchronous time, the kids can design a seal, a presidential seal. And so there's a link here to guide through that. There's ideas here for synchronous class time evaluation and asynchronous. In this case, there's a click to a reflective journal where they can share what they've learned through the process of the simulated election. So our final thoughts on the lesson, I'm hoping that you see the design of the 5 E's as an intentional distance learning design with asynchronous and synchronous time. That there's innovative ways, hopefully, to engage our people and give them choices through inquiry and give them different types of opportunities to show what they know, and that there are extension ideas throughout the lesson. If you are interested in more resources, first of all of the links to the lessons are found in the notes section of this video, but there are tons of resources on the website, californiahss.org, where you will find a link to all of the K-12 lessons, as well as a multitude of other resources aimed at improving and helping the teaching and learning of history social science. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it's been helpful, and we look forward to hearing how you enjoyed the lessons and how they worked for you and your students. Take care.